The morning light pours through the high windows, painting sharp lines across the marble floors. Amara Ellison sits quietly on a bench, a book open in her lap. She reads with a focus that makes her seem untouched by the rush around her. But every so often her eyes flick up, quietly measuring the rhythm of the station. The space is alive with movement, commuters hurrying, luggage wheels rattling, voices rising and falling. Yet there's a subtle distance that sets Amara apart, a quiet tension that clings to her presence. People pass by, some glancing at her and quickly looking away. A mother draws her child closer as they walk past. A vendor wipes his hands and watches for a moment before returning to his work. Amara's calm presence is a silent challenge to the unspoken rules that govern who belongs and who is merely tolerated. She closes her book with deliberate care, her expression unreadable, her posture composed. Conductor Gerald Pike enters the scene, his uniform crisp, his movements confident. He scans the crowd, eyes settling on Amara. His approach is slow, deliberate, his authority felt before a word is spoken. When he finally stops in front of her, the energy shifts. He speaks with a clipped tone. "You can't sit here all day." Amara looks up, meeting his gaze without flinching. Her reply is soft, but steady. "I'm waiting for someone." Gerald's jaw tightens, his patience thinning. "Rules are rules. Move along." His words hang in the air, louder than the noise of the station. Around them, the crowd senses the tension. A nearby security guard shifts his stance. A young woman taps nervously on her phone, and a janitor lingers with his cleaning cart. Amara stands, closing her book, her dignity intact. The marble floor reflects her image, but not the quiet strength she carries as she moves away. The first crack in the station's facade, now visible for anyone willing to see. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. The station's energy shifts as Gerald Pike moves through the crowd, his uniform immaculate, every step measured with authority. His eyes scan the faces, but linger on Amara Ellison with a sharpness cutting through the morning bustle. Nearby teens lounge unnoticed, but his gaze fixes on her, a silent judgment hanging in the air. Gerald's approach is deliberate, his voice low and clipped when he finally speaks. "You can't just sit here all day," he says, words heavier than the noise around them. Amara looks up, steady and composed, her calm defiance a quiet challenge to his authority. "I'm waiting for someone," she replies softly, tone unwavering. Gerald's jaw tightens, impatience flickering across his face. He shifts stance, the power dynamic clear without a raised voice. Around them, the crowd senses tension, some glancing away, others frozen in discomfort. A security guard shifts uneasily, a vendor pauses mid-task, and a janitor's gaze lingers longer than usual. The station's polished floors reflect the scene, a tableau of silent power and subtle exclusion. Amara's presence disrupts routine, her dignity intact amid unspoken bias coloring the moment. The air thickens with unspoken rules, authority, wielded not for order, but exclusion. Gerald's gaze narrows, the first crack in the station's facade appearing as Amara remains seated, unyielding and resolute. Nearby, a mother pulls her child closer, whispering a warning. A businessman adjusts his tie, avoiding the scene. A young woman taps nervously on her phone, fingers trembling slightly. The tension is palpable, a quiet storm brewing beneath the surface. Gerald's eyes flicker with doubt, a subtle hesitation betraying his usual confidence. He clears his throat, the sound sharp in the charged air. Yet he says nothing more, the confrontation unresolved but heavy with meaning. Amara's gaze remains steady, posture unbroken. She closes her book slowly, movement deliberate, signaling, quiet strength refusing to be diminished. The station's polished floors mirror her calm, reflecting a dignity no authority can erase. The crowd begins to shift, some stepping back, others exchanging uneasy glances. The moment lingers, a silent reckoning unfolding in the heart of the station. The station's atmosphere tightens as Gerald's words hang in the air. Rules are rules. Amara's calm reply, "I'm waiting for someone," cuts through the tension, met with dismissal. Nearby teens lounge freely, untouched by scrutiny, highlighting the stark double standard that quietly shapes the space. The crowd shifts uncomfortably, some averting their eyes, others frozen in quiet unease. A vendor pauses mid-task, glancing toward the scene, while a janitor's gaze lingers longer than usual, a silent witness to the unfolding injustice. Gerald's posture stiffens, his authority wielded selectively, a quiet assertion of power that excludes rather than protects. Amara remains seated, her dignity intact, embodying quiet resistance amid the unspoken bias that fills the air. A mother pulls her child closer, whispering a caution. A businessman adjusts his tie, avoiding the confrontation. The tension is palpable, a heavy weight pressing down, the station's polished floors reflecting the silent fracture in the facade. Amara's eyes meet Gerald's briefly, unyielding. The moment stretches, a quiet reckoning that exposes the uneven enforcement of rules and the invisible lines drawn by prejudice. Nearby, a young woman taps nervously on her phone, her fingers trembling slightly as she records the scene. A security guard shifts his stance, eyes flickering toward the confrontation, uncertain whether to intervene or look away. The murmurs of the crowd swell softly, whispers of discomfort and unspoken questions. A businessman clears his throat, breaking the tension momentarily, but no one speaks aloud. The station's usual rhythm falters, replaced by a heavy stillness. Gerald's jaw tightens, his gaze flickering with doubt. He clears his throat again, the sound sharp in the charged air, but he offers no further words. The confrontation remains, unresolved, the power dynamic hanging precariously. Amara closes her book slowly, her movements deliberate, signaling quiet strength and refusal to be diminished. The polished floors beneath her reflect not just her image, but the growing cracks in the station's facade, cracks that speak of a deeper reckoning yet to come. The station breathes around them, unaware of the quiet storm building. A reckoning that will not be silenced. Two security officers approach Amara, their presence unmistakable in the crowded station. Their steps are steady, measured, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Amara rises with deliberate calm, her posture unwavering, her eyes steady as she faces them. One officer gestures toward the exit, his voice low but clear. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us." Amara nods, her expression unreadable. She gathers her belongings with careful precision, the soft rustle of her jacket the only sound in the charged air. The crowd watches, breaths held. A vendor wipes his hands on a rag, eyes darting between Amara and the officers. A mother pulls her child closer, whispering quiet reassurances. The janitor leans against a pillar, gaze lingering on Amara a moment. Longer than the rest, Amara walks between the officers, her stride even, her dignity unbroken. The polished floor reflects her image, a silhouette of composure and resolve. The murmurs of the crowd ripple behind her, some sympathetic, most uncertain, all marked by the weight of what they've witnessed. Gerald stands at a distance, a tight curl of satisfaction on his lips, but the moment presses on him too, the first hints of doubt flickering in his eyes. As Amara passes, a young woman records the scene on her phone, her hands shaking slightly. The camera catches Amara's face, composed, proud, and quietly defiant. She doesn't look back. The officers lead her through the station, their authority on display, but it is Amara's calm that lingers in the air. The station resumes its rhythm, but the heaviness remains, a silent testament to the power of quiet resistance. The moment stretches, heavy and unyielding, a quiet storm gathering strength. The crowd disperses, but the memory of her strength lingers, a warning that the reckoning has only just begun. As Amara disappears from view, Gerald stands near the ticket counter, arms folded, a faint curl at the corner of his mouth. He watches. The crowd return to its routine, convinced the matter is settled. His posture is relaxed, almost triumphant, as if he's restored order with a single command. A colleague walks past, offering a brief, uncertain nod. Gerald returns it with a confident tilt of his head, brushing invisible dust from his sleeve. He glances at his watch, then surveys the station, reassured by the return of normalcy. The security officers exchange a look, one of them hesitating before returning to his post, the other glancing back at the exit where Amara was led away. Nearby, a vendor resumes stacking pastries, but his movements are slower, distracted. A mother whispers to her daughter, her voice tight. The young woman who recorded the scene checks her phone, her brow furrowed as she replays the video. The janitor pauses, mop in hand, eyes lingering on Gerald for a moment before turning away. Gerald's sense of victory is palpable, but beneath it, a subtle unease flickers. He straightens his jacket, scanning the station for any sign of further disruption. The crowd's energy is different now, quieter, more watchful. A businessman glances Gerald's way, then quickly looks down, shuffling his papers. The station's polished floors shine, but the atmosphere is heavier, charged with something unspoken. Gerald's confidence shields him from the shift, but the cracks in his certainty are there for anyone willing to look. He does not see the storm gathering, messages being sent, videos uploading, eyes meeting in silent agreement. As he turns away, the camera lingers on his face, the last trace of satisfaction fading. The world around him has changed, even if he refuses to see it. The reckoning he believes he's avoided is already in motion, quiet but unstoppable. The kitchen is bathed in the soft glow of the morning light. Young Amara sits at the worn wooden table, her fingers tracing the edges of an old photo album. Her mother's voice is steady but thick with emotion as she points to a faded photograph. "Your father built this," she says, her eyes reflecting pride and sorrow. "He fought battles you don't see, battles that shape this railroad and the lives it touches." Amara listens, absorbing the weight of legacy and struggle. The stories are not just history. They are lessons in resilience, dignity, and quiet strength. Her mother's words linger in the air, a silent promise passed down through generations. The room is still except for the soft turning of pages and the occasional sigh. Amara's gaze is distant, her young mind wrestling with the invisible burdens carried by those who came before her. The photo of her father, strong and determined, anchors her resolve. This moment, simple yet profound, shapes Amara's quiet defiance. It is a foundation built on love and endurance, a shield against the prejudice she will face. The kitchen's warmth contrasts with the cold realities outside, a sanctuary where strength is nurtured in silence. Her mother's hands tremble slightly. As she closes the album, a subtle sign of the pain beneath her calm. Amara reaches out, placing her small hand over her mother's, a gesture of shared strength and understanding. The light shifts, casting long shadows across the table, mirroring the weight of history that stretches behind them. Amara's eyes meet her mother's with a newfound understanding, the legacy now a quiet fire burning beneath her calm exterior. Outside, the distant sounds of the city hum faintly, a reminder of the world beyond this room. The photo album rests, closed, but the stories it holds continue to shape the woman Amara will become. The scene fades with the soft hum of the morning, the weight of history settling like dust, ready to be stirred and awakened, waiting for the right moment to rise and make its mark. A grainy security video plays in a cramped office, the image flickering as Gerald stands over a young black college student near the ticket machines. Gerald's voice is firm, almost rehearsed. "You can't stand here. Move along." The student's reply is quiet, uncertain. "I'm just waiting for my train." Gerald's eyes narrow, his stance unyielding. "You've been here too long. This isn't a waiting area for everyone." The student glances around, searching for support, but the other commuters avoid his gaze. A ticket clerk behind the glass window watches, lips pressed together, but says nothing. The student gathers his bag, shoulders tense, and walks away, the weight of humiliation heavy in each step. Later, the complaint lands on the supervisor's desk. He reads it, sighs, and stamps it resolved without a second thought. The folder joins a growing pile in a locked drawer, each one a silent record of exclusion. The supervisor shrugs when asked. He's strict but fair. He keeps things orderly. His words are routine, practiced, and empty. Gerald passes the supervisor in the hallway, exchanging a brief nod. There's no mention of the complaint, no acknowledgement of the student's discomfort. Gerald's confidence grows, fed by the system's indifference. He straightens his tie, glances at his reflection in a nearby window and moves on, certain he's done nothing wrong. The ticket clerk watches Gerald walk away, her fingers drumming nervously on the counter. She glances at the drawer where the complaints are kept, her conscience pricked but her voice silent. The office returns to its routine, the incident fading into the background noise of the day. But the memory lingers for the student, a quiet scar that shapes how he moves through the world. The pattern is set, the system's cracks widening with each unchallenged act. Gerald's path is clear, paved by the quiet complicity of those around him. Mr. Thompson, 72, stands at the edge of the platform every morning, his hat tipped, neatly coat-buttoned against the chill. He watches the trains come and go, waiting for his usual ride. Gerald approaches, his steps echoing along the tiles, eyes fixed on the older man with a practiced scrutiny. "Purpose of your travel?" Gerald asks, voice flat, not bothering with a greeting. Mr. Thompson meets his gaze, the lines on his face deepening. "Doctor's appointment, same as yesterday." Gerald's eyes flick over the ticket, then back to Mr. Thompson's face. "You know the rules. Don't linger." The words are clipped, delivered without warmth. White commuters mill around. Them, some chatting, some lost in their phones. None are questioned. None even notice the exchange. Mr. Thompson's grip tightens on his ticket, knuckles pale. He nods, not trusting himself to speak further, and steps aside as Gerald moves on. A young woman nearby glances up, catching the end of the exchange. She hesitates, then lowers her gaze, unwilling to get involved. The station's rhythm resumes, the moment swallowed by the morning rush. Mr. Thompson exhales slowly, the weight of routine pressing down. This isn't the first time, and he knows it won't be the last. He boards the train, finding a seat by the window. His reflection stares back at him, tired but unbroken. He straightens his hat, a small act of defiance, and looks out at the city passing by. The conductor checks tickets down the aisle, barely glancing at the other passengers. As the train pulls away, Mr. Thompson closes his eyes for a moment, gathering himself for the day ahead. The injustice is quiet, woven into the fabric of his routine. Yet, every morning, he returns, dignity intact, endurance his only protest. A Latina mother maneuvers her stroller through the crowded platform, careful not to bump anyone. Her eyes dart nervously as she searches for a spot out of the way. Gerald notices her, his gaze sharp as he approaches. "You can't block the aisle," he says, voice cool but unmistakably stern. She glances up, worry flickering across her face. "I'm sorry, I just need a minute to settle my baby." Gerald's lips press into a thin line. "Move it now!" "This isn't a place to park." His tone leaves no room for discussion. Across the platform, a white parent stands with a stroller in the middle of the walkway, chatting easily with a friend. Gerald walks right past them, not even a glance in their direction. The contrast is clear, unspoken, but heavy. The Latina mother bites her lip, shifting her stroller awkwardly, her baby fussing in protest. A nearby commuter watches, frowning, but says nothing. The mother's hands tremble as she tries to soothe her child and move at the same time. "I'm sorry," she repeats, voice barely above a whisper. Gerald steps back, arms crossed, waiting until she's out of the way before moving on. The train doors open, and the mother boards quickly, cheeks flushed. She finds a seat in the corner, cradling her baby, eyes shining with unshed tears. The other parent continues their conversation, undisturbed, their stroller still blocking the path. As the train pulls away, the mother stares at her hands, the sting of the moment lingering. Around her, the world moves on, indifferent to the small injustice that has just unfolded. The quiet wound settles deep, another reminder of who is seen and who is simply tolerated. Maria, the janitor, sweeps through the quiet office after hours, her cart rattling softly on the tiled floor. She bends to empty a trash bin beneath Gerald's desk and pauses, noticing a crumpled sheet wedged between discarded receipts and coffee cups. She smooths it out, eyes scanning the page. It's a letter, typed, unsigned, but unmistakably a complaint. The words jump off the paper. Targeted for questioning, treated differently, humiliated in public. Maria's brow furrows as she reads the details, her hands trembling slightly. She glances at the door, half expecting someone to walk in. But the hallway remains empty. She folds the letter, slipping it into her pocket. Her gaze lifts to the security camera in the corner, its red light blinking steadily. Maria hesitates, weighing her next move. She's seen these complaints before, always ending up in the trash, never addressed, always forgotten. As she wipes down Gerald's desk, her eyes linger on the neat stacks of papers, the nameplate polished to a shine. She wonders how many stories have been buried here, how many voices have been silenced without a trace. Maria finishes her work, but the letter feels heavy in her pocket, a secret too important to ignore. On her way out, she passes a group of employees laughing in the break room, their conversation light, untouched by the weight she carries. Maria's steps slow as she heads for the exit, her mind racing with the possibilities. She knows this letter could change something, if only someone would listen. Outside, the night air is cool. Maria stands for a moment, the station behind her, the letter pressed tightly in her hand. She looks back once, then walks into the darkness, the truth she's found burning quietly in her pocket, waiting for the right moment to be seen. Tariq stands behind a pillar, phone gripped tight, heart pounding as he films Amara being led away by security. His hands tremble, but he keeps the camera steady, capturing every detail. The officer's firm grip, Amara's composed face, the crowd's uneasy glances. He zooms in, determined not to miss a moment. A group of teens nearby whisper, eyes flicking, between Tariq and the unfolding scene. One nudges another, mouthing, "Are you getting this?" Tariq nods, barely breathing, his focus absolute. He catches Gerald in the background, arms folded, lips pressed in a thin line. As the officers escort Amara through the station, Tariq follows at a distance, careful not to draw attention. He records the way people step aside, the way some watch, with curiosity, others with discomfort. The tension is thick, every movement loaded with meaning. Later, at home, Tariq sits at his desk, replaying the footage. He edits carefully, adding captions. This is writing while black. He hesitates, finger hovering over the upload button. His mother enters, glancing at the screen. "Are you sure about this?" she asks quietly. Tariq nods, voice steady. "People need to see." He clicks upload. The video goes live, notifications pinging almost instantly. Comments flood in, some shocked, some angry, others sharing their own stories. Tariq watches the numbers climb, the story spreading faster than he imagined. He leans back, exhaustion and adrenaline mixing in his chest. The house is quiet, but the world outside is suddenly louder, the truth impossible to ignore. Tariq's phone buzzes with messages from friends, strangers, even reporters. He scrolls through the reactions, feeling the weight of what he's started. As night falls, Tariq stands by his window, looking out at the city lights. The video plays on screens across the city, a spark in the darkness. He knows there's no turning back. The truth is out, and the storm has only just begun. Tariq's video races across social media, gathering momentum with every share. Notifications light up phones in homes, offices, and classrooms. Comments pour in, some outraged, some heartbroken, many echoing the same pain. "This happened to my brother. I was told to move too. Enough is enough." The hashtag Georg writing while black trends within hours. News outlets pick up the story, headlines flashing. Railroad heiress ejected from family's own station. Clips of Amara's calm composure play on repeat, her dignity in the face of exclusion, striking a chord. Panelists argue on morning shows, voices rising over video snippets. This is not an isolated incident, one says. It's a pattern. Another shakes her head, eyes shining with frustration. People are tired of being
invisible.
The railroad's boardroom is flooded with emails, each subject line a demand for change. Fire Gerald Pike. Investigate your staff. We're watching. Executives scroll through the messages, faces pale, the volume of outrage impossible to ignore. A PR manager mutters, "We can't spin this." The CEO's jaw clenches as he reads a letter from a former employee, recounting years of similar treatment. On the street, protesters gather outside headquarters, signs held high. Accountability now. Justice for Amara. We ride. 2. Chants rise echoing through the city. Reporters interview passers-by, some sharing their own stories, others shaking their heads in disbelief. A grandmother wipes away tears as she recalls her own run-ins with authority on the same line. Decades ago. Inside the station, travelers watch the video on their phones, exchanging glances, some nodding in solidarity, others shifting uncomfortably. The atmosphere is charged, the usual routine disrupted by a wave of collective reckoning. Tariq sits at his desk, watching the world react, the storm he started now far bigger than he imagined. The truth is out, and the call for justice grows, louder with every passing hour. Screens across the city light up with new revelations. Internal documents begin to circulate. Emails stamped confidential, meeting notes with names blacked out, and memos praising Gerald's efficiency. The files appear on forums and news sites, posted by an anonymous source. The words are blunt. They knew. They always knew. A whistleblower's message is pinned to the top of the thread. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Readers scroll through evidence of complaints dismissed, warnings ignored, and staff praised. For keeping order, the reality is undeniable. Amara's story is not an exception, but a symptom of something deeper. In the railroad's headquarters, executives gather around a laptop, faces drawn. A legal advisor's hand shakes as she flips through the printouts. "This is bad," she whispers. The HR director closes his eyes, regret flickering across his features. A junior staffer, voice barely above a whisper, says, "We all saw it. No one stopped it." Outside, the protest grows. Signs multiply, voices rise. Transparency now! End the cover-ups! Reporters read from the leaked memos on live TV, their voices tight with urgency. A former employee calls in, recounting how her own complaint vanished. "I knew it would go nowhere," she says, her voice steady but sad. Inside the station, travelers read the headlines on their phones. Some shake their heads, others nod grimly. A conductor, off-duty, stands in the crowd, jaw clenched, eyes wet. The janitor, Maria, watches from the corner. The letter she found now echoed in every headline. The momentum is unstoppable. The system's secrets are no longer hidden, and the call for accountability grows with every new leak. Anonymous courage has become a rallying cry, and the walls of denial begin to crumble, one exposed truth at a time. The boardroom is tense, every seat filled by anxious faces. Laptops glow with news alerts and emails pouring in by the minute. A senior executive rubs his forehead, voice tight. "We need to respond, now." A PR manager scrolls through social media, her hand trembling. "It's everywhere. We can't contain it." A legal advisor flips through a stack of documents, eyes darting from one memo to the next. "If these leaks are real, we're exposed," she says, barely above a whisper. The CEO sits at the head of the table, jaw clenched, fingers drumming a restless rhythm. He glances at the shareholder registry, Amara's name highlighted. The weight of her legacy hangs over the room. A junior board member clears her throat, voice shaky. "We can't just deny it. People are watching. Another, older member shakes his head, stubborn. We've weathered storms before. This will pass. The room fractures, some desperate for action, others frozen by fear. The HR director's phone buzzes with another complaint notification. He silences it, eyes darting to the door as if expecting the world to burst in. The atmosphere is thick with blame and regret, no one willing to claim responsibility. The marketing director mutters, "We should have listened. We should have acted sooner." Outside the glass walls, the sounds of protest filter in, chants growing louder, drums beating in time with the board's mounting anxiety. The CEO stands, abruptly, voice sharp. "Draft a statement. Start an inquiry, and get Amara Ellison in here." As the meeting adjourns, staff file out in uneasy silence. The air is heavy with the knowledge that the old way of doing things is over. The panic is real, the reckoning unavoidable. The boardroom, once a fortress, now feels like a cage closing in. Gerald paces his living room, the evening news blaring. Headlines about the scandal. Every channel shows his face, sometimes in uniform, sometimes frozen in the moment he turned Amara away. He mutes the TV, but the silence is worse. His phone buzzes with angry messages, each one a reminder of what he's done. He deletes voicemails, but the words echo in his mind. "How could you? We saw the video." "You're finished." Gerald's hands shake as he scrolls through social media, seeing his name trending for all the wrong reasons. He tries to call a colleague, but the line goes straight to voicemail. No one wants to talk. No one wants to be seen with him. He stands by the window, watching the street below. Neighbors walk past without looking up. A group of teenagers point at his house, their laughter sharp and cold. Gerald steps back, heart pounding. He remembers every moment he brushed off a complaint, every time he told himself he was just doing his job. Flashbacks flicker, faces of those he questioned, the quiet humiliation in their eyes. He sees the young student, the elderly man, and the mother with the stroller. Their voices blend together, a chorus of memories he can't escape. Gerald sinks into a chair, head in his hands, the weight of their stares pressing down. A knock at the door startles him. He doesn't answer. Instead, he stares at his reflection in the darkened window. He looks smaller now, his uniform folded on the back of a chair, useless. The authority he once wore like armor has become a burden he can't set down. The night deepens, shadows stretching across the room. Gerald sits alone, surrounded by reminders of the people he turned away, the eyes that now watch his every move. The world outside has changed, and so has he, though he can't yet admit it. A thick envelope waits on Gerald's doormat, the railroad's logo stamped in bold blue. He picks it up, hands unsteady, and tears it open. The letter inside is brief, direct. Mandatory meeting with the board. Attendance required. His throat tightens as he reads the date. Tomorrow. No explanation, just a time and address. He stands in the hallway, letter trembling in his grasp. The house feels colder, the walls pressing in. Gerald lays the letter on the table, staring at it as if it might vanish. He moves to the mirror, straightening his shirt, trying to find the man he used to see. His reflection looks older, smaller, weighed down by something he can't shake. Upstairs, his wife calls out, "Everything okay?" Gerald hesitates, voice thin. "Just work." She doesn't press. He sits on the edge of the bed, uniform laid out beside him. The fabric feels stiff, unfamiliar. He runs a hand over the badge, memories of authority and certainty slipping away. Morning arrives too soon. Gerald dresses in silence, the routine suddenly foreign. He boards the early train, eyes fixed on the floor. Passengers avoid his gaze, some whispering, others pretending not to notice. The conductor checking tickets pauses at Gerald's seat, recognition flickering before moving on without a word. At headquarters, the lobby is hushed. Gerald's footsteps echo as he approaches the boardroom. A receptionist greets him with a polite nod, her eyes unreadable. He waits outside the heavy doors, clutching the letter, heart thudding in his chest. When his name is called, Gerald enters, shoulders squared but spirit unsteady. The board members sit in a semicircle, facing the grave. The air is thick with expectation, the weight of consequences pressing down. Gerald takes his seat, the letter still in his hand. A summons he can't ignore, a reckoning he can't escape. Amara stands in her bedroom, the early light spilling across her desk. She opens a drawer and pulls out a flash drive, its metal surface cool in her palm. Her father's portrait hangs nearby, eyes kind and steady. She studies his face, drawing strength from the memory of his courage and quiet persistence. She sits at her desk, reviewing documents, emails, letters, records of complaints buried and dismissed. Each file is a piece of the story she's about to tell. Her mother enters, pausing in the doorway. "You ready?" Amara nods, voice calm but resolute. "It's time." Her mother squeezes her shoulder, pride and worry mingling in her eyes. Amara chooses her clothes with care, a blazer her father once wore, a subtle nod to the legacy she carries. She fastens the buttons, hands steady, then places the flash drive in her pocket. Every movement is deliberate, a quiet ritual of preparation. She glances at her reflection. Composed, determined, a hint of nerves flickering beneath the surface. Downstairs, Tariq waits by the door, phone in hand. "You sure you want to do this?" he asks, concerned in his voice. Amara meets his gaze, unwavering. "We can't wait any longer." Tariq nods, stepping aside as she heads for the door. Outside, the city hums with anticipation. Amara walks to the car, each step measured, her resolve building with every stride. She slides into the passenger seat, clutching the flash drive, the weight of history and hope pressing gently in her palm. As they drive toward headquarters, Amara watches the city pass by. Streets her father once walked, buildings he helped shape. She draws a deep breath, steadying herself for what lies ahead. The boardroom awaits, but so does the possibility of real change. Amara's legacy is no longer just a memory. Today, it becomes action. Amara steps into the hallway, her heels tapping softly on the polished floor. The boardroom doors loom ahead, the railroad's gold insignia gleaming in the morning light. She pauses, gathering herself, then pushes the doors open. Conversation inside halts instantly. Executives turn, their faces a mix of surprise, curiosity, and discomfort. Gerald sits near the end of the long table, hands folded tightly, eyes darting to Amara and then away. The air is thick, every movement magnified. Amara walks with measured confidence, her father's blazer fitting her like armor. She takes her seat at the table, placing a folder and flash drive in front of her. A senior board member clears his throat, voice strained. "Ms. Ellison, thank you for joining us." Amara nods, her expression composed. The PR manager scribbles notes, glancing up with a nervous smile that quickly fades. A junior executive fidgets with a pen, tapping it against her notebook, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Gerald shifts in his chair, adjusting his tie, posture rigid. The CEO leans forward, fingers steepled, gaze fixed on Amara. "We're here to discuss recent events," he says, tone formal but tense. Amara meets his eyes, unflinching. "I'm ready," she replies, voice steady, around the table. Unease simmers. Some board members avoid Amara's gaze. Others study her intently, searching for weakness. The room feels smaller, the gold logo on the wall a silent reminder of legacy and responsibility. Amara opens her folder, sliding the flash drive toward the IT technician, who plugs it in with a quick, respectful nod. The screen lights up with evidence. Emails, complaints, timelines. No one speaks. The only sounds are the hum of the projector and the faint rustle of papers. Amara's presence fills the room, her calm a quiet challenge to the old order. Judgment hangs in the air, heavy and inescapable, as the board braces for what comes next. Gerald sits rigid in his chair, eyes fixed on the screen as Amara's evidence flashes before the board. His fingers press into the table, knuckles pale. Each email, each complaint, is a blow. He tries to maintain composure, but sweat beads at his hairline, and his breathing grows shallow. A board member leans forward, voice cool. "Mr. Pike, do you recognize these incidents?" Gerald's gaze flickers to Amara, then to the faces around the table. I was following procedure," he stammers, voice barely above a whisper. His usual confidence is gone, replaced by a tremor he can't hide. Amara's eyes meet his, unwavering. She doesn't speak, but the weight of her silence is crushing. Gerald swallows, shifting in his seat. The room feels smaller, the air heavy with expectation. A junior executive glances at her notes, avoiding his eyes. The PR manager's pen stops moving. The CEO addresses Gerald directly. "You were warned about this pattern, weren't you?" Gerald's jaw tightens. "I did what I thought was right," he mutters, but the words ring hollow. He looks down at his hands, realizing they're shaking. The gold insignia on the wall seems to glare at him. Around the table, the mood shifts. Some board members exchange glances, a mix of disappointment and disbelief. The IT technician watches Gerald, brow furrowed, then looks away. Amara remains still, her presence a quiet force pressing in on him. Gerald's mask slips further as the questions continue. He fumbles for answers, his voice faltering. "I never meant—" He starts, but stops, unable to finish. The boardroom's judgment is silent, but absolute. Gerald feels exposed, every defense unraveling under the scrutiny. The realization settles in. There's no hiding, no more excuses. The truth is out, and Gerald's authority has never felt so fragile. For the first time, he looks truly afraid. Camera lights blink red, casting a harsh glow over the boardroom. Every movement, every shift in posture is broadcast to thousands, watching online. Amara sits tall, her features calm and determined as the live stream chat scrolls rapidly with messages. Some supportive, some furious, all demanding accountability. Gerald's leg bounces under the table. He glances at the camera, then quickly looks away. The CEO clears his throat, voice tight. "We're streaming this for transparency," he announces, but his words sound forced. A board member shifts in her seat, eyes darting between Amara and the chat feed projected on the wall. Viewers comment in real time. "Finally justice. Don't let him off easy." "She's so composed." The pressure is relentless. The world's attention a weight no one in the room can ignore. Gerald wipes his brow, fingers trembling as he tries to steady himself. Amara's voice is clear when she speaks. "This isn't just about me. It's about everyone who's been pushed aside and told to wait their turn." Her words echo, amplified by the microphones and the silent nods of those around her. The PR manager glances at her phone, reading the chat with wide eyes. Gerald attempts to interject, but his words falter. I was just—" He stops, realizing the cameras are still on him, every hesitation magnified. A junior executive leans forward, whispering to a colleague. He's losing it. The IT technician adjusts the feed, making sure nothing is missed. The boardroom feels exposed, the usual barriers gone. Amara's strength is unmistakable, her calm a stark contrast to Gerald's unraveling composure. The viewers keep watching, hungry for truth, unwilling to look away. As the questions continue, the tension in the room grows. The world is watching, and the old ways of hiding behind closed doors are gone. Every word, every glance, every pause is now part of the record. The board chair leans forward, hands clasped, eyes fixed on Gerald. The room falls even quieter, the tension thick enough to feel. "Mr. Pike, do you know who this is?" he asks, nodding toward Amara. Gerald's mouth opens, but no words come at first. He glances at the live stream camera, then at Amara, searching for an answer that won't come. "She was loitering." Gerald finally mutters, voice barely audible. The board chair doesn't flinch. "Her name is Amara Ellison," he says, voice carrying authority. "She is the majority heir to this railroad." The words land like a gavel, echoing through the room and across the live stream. A secretary gasps, dropping her pen. The PR manager's eyes widen, and a murmur ripples through the board members. Gerald's face drains of color. He stares at Amara, realization dawning, his confidence slipping away. Amara meets his gaze, unwavering. "You never asked who I was. You never cared to know," she says, her voice calm but sharp. The CEO shifts in his seat, the gold insignia on the wall suddenly more imposing. Gerald's hands grip the table, knuckles white. The chat explodes with reactions. "Unbelievable. He had no idea. She owns the place." Amara's composure is unshaken, her presence filling the room. Gerald tries to speak, but his voice cracks. I didn't know," he stammers, eyes darting around the table, looking for support and finding none. A board member leans back, arms crossed, judgment clear. The moment hangs in the air, heavy and irreversible. The old power structure has been exposed, its foundation shaken by a single name. Amara sits quietly, her dignity unassailable. The boardroom, the live stream, the world, all see the truth now. Nothing will be the same. Gerald's bravado slips away, replaced by uncertainty he can't hide. He fumbles for words, voice thin. I was following the usual routine. I didn't." He stops, eyes darting around the table, hoping for a lifeline. No one offers one. The board members sit in stony silence, arms folded, faces set. Amara's gaze never wavers. She doesn't interrupt, letting the weight of the moment settle. Gerald looks down at his hands, noticing how they tremble. The gold insignia on the wall seems to glare at him, a reminder of the authority he once wielded so easily. A junior executive clears her throat, breaking the stillness. "You never thought to ask her name?" Her tone is quiet but pointed. Gerald shakes his head, unable to meet her eyes. "I didn't think it mattered," he whispers, the words barely audible. The CEO leans back, disappointment etched in his features. "It always matters," he says, voice low. The PR manager scribbles a note, lips pressed tight. The IT technician glances at the live stream chat where viewers demand answers, their outrage growing. Gerald's shoulders sag, his composure unraveling further with every second. "I never meant to." He can't finish. The room is heavy, with judgment, the old certainty gone. Amara's calm presence fills the space, her silence more powerful than any accusation. A board member finally speaks, voice flat. Intent doesn't erase impact. The words hang in the air, final and unyielding. Gerald nods weakly, defeat settling over him. The live stream captures every detail. His shaking hands, the loss in his eyes, the quiet authority in Amara's posture. The world watches as Gerald, once so sure, is reduced to a whisper. The power he relied on is gone, replaced by a reckoning he can't escape. Amara remains steady, the embodiment of dignity. The boardroom feels changed, the shift irreversible. Amara opens her folder, sliding a stack of documents across the table. Her voice is clear, steady. This isn't about retribution. It's about building a system where everyone is treated with respect. No exceptions. The board members lean in, the tension shifting from accusation to possibility. She outlines her proposals: anti-bias education, transparent complaint channels, community oversight. "We need to change how we hire, how we train, how we listen," Amara says, her gaze sweeping the room. The CEO nods slowly, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. A board member studies the documents, brow furrowed. "This is comprehensive," she admits. Another, usually skeptical, taps his pen thoughtfully. "We've needed this for a long time." The PR manager glances at the live stream chat, where viewers urge, "Make it happen." Gerald sits quietly, hands folded in his lap. He looks at the proposals, then at Amara, regret etched in his face. The old defenses are gone. In their place, a reluctant understanding. Amara doesn't gloat. She meets his eyes for a moment, then turns back to the board. We can't erase the past, she continues, but we can choose what happens next. Her words are met with a hush, the room holding its breath. The IT technician projects the reform plan on the wall, each bullet point a step toward something better. The CEO picks up a pen, hesitating only briefly before signing the first document. The sound of pen on paper is sharp, decisive. Other board members follow, each signature a commitment to change. Amara closes her folder, exhaling softly. The atmosphere is lighter, the promise of transformation real. The boardroom, once a place of denial, now feels like the starting point for something new. Gerald lowers his head, accepting the shift. Amara's vision has become the blueprint for a future where dignity is the standard, not the exception. The boardroom is silent as the CEO places the reform documents in the center of the table. He looks around, voice steady but subdued. All in favor? One by one, hands lift, some with conviction, others with hesitation. The gesture is quiet, but the meaning is unmistakable. A senior board member, usually resistant to change, glances at Amara before raising her hand. A junior executive follows, her nod barely perceptible. The PR manager hesitates, then lifts his hand, eyes on the live stream chat where viewers type, "Do the right thing." The IT technician, not a voting member, watches closely, a small smile breaking through his usual reserve. Gerald stares at the table, hands folded tightly in his lap. He doesn't vote, but the shift is clear. His influence has vanished. Amara sits quietly, her presence steady, watching the transformation unfold. The CEO counts the votes, then sets down his pen. The reforms are adopted, he announces, voice carrying relief and finality. The room exhales, the tension easing. Some board members exchange glances, uncertain but accepting. The old order has been replaced, not by force, but by collective decision. A board member clears her throat, voice soft. We have a lot of work ahead. Another adds, it starts now. The atmosphere is different. No celebration, just a shared understanding that real change is hard, but possible. Amara closes her folder, standing as the meeting adjourns. She nods to the board, dignity intact. The live stream captures the moment. Hands raised, faces thoughtful, a new chapter beginning. Gerald remains seated, shoulders slumped, the reality of his diminished role settling in. The boardroom feels changed, the air lighter, the future uncertain, but open. As the members file out, Amara lingers for a moment, taking in the scene. The decision is made, the blueprint set. The system has bent, not broken. And for the first time, hope feels justified. The meeting ends, chairs scraping softly as board members gather their things. Security steps quietly to Gerald's side, one officer offering a respectful nod. Gerald stands, his movements stiff, eyes fixed on the floor. His badge, once a symbol of authority, is already gone from his jacket. He glances at Amara, searching for words, but finds none. She meets his gaze, steady and unflinching, then looks away. The live stream camera follows Gerald as he walks toward the door, every step slow, the weight of the moment pressing down. The hallway outside stretches long and empty, fluorescent lights humming overhead. A junior executive stands by the doorway, shifting awkwardly. She murmurs, "Take care," but Gerald barely hears her. A board member avoids his eyes, shuffling papers with unnecessary care. The PR manager offers a tight, sympathetic smile that fades as soon as Gerald passes. As he moves down the corridor, staff in the outer office glance up, then quickly return to their screens. One receptionist gives a small, uncertain wave. Gerald nods, but his face is drawn, his posture shrunken. The world feels different now, familiar walls suddenly cold, every shadow longer than before. Outside, The city sounds distant. Gerald pauses at the exit, looking back once at the gold insignia on the boardroom door. The authority he wore for years has slipped away, replaced by a quiet, inescapable loss. He steps into the daylight, shoulders hunched, blending into the crowd. Inside, Amara remains at the table, her presence a quiet reminder of what has changed. The boardroom is still, the air lighter, the old power gone. Gerald's retreat is complete, not with noise, but with the heavy quiet of consequence. The live stream fades to black, viewers left with the image of a man walking away, his shadow trailing behind. The boardroom empties slowly, footsteps fading into a heavy quiet. Amara remains seated for a moment, her fingers brushing the edge of her father's portrait on the wall. Her eyes are soft but resolute, a silent acknowledgement of the battle fought and the path ahead. Outside, the distant cheers of protesters ripple through the glass, their voices a steady reminder that change is demanded, not given. Sunlight now warms Gerald's abandoned chair, the emptiness speaking louder than words. Staff members file past the room, facing a mix of relief and cautious hope. A junior executive glances back with a tentative smile. The PR manager packs up her notes, her expression thoughtful, the weight of responsibility settling in. In the hallway, a janitor leans against the wall, mop in hand, eyes reflecting the shift in atmosphere. A security guard nods subtly to a passing colleague, the unspoken understanding of a system beginning to change. Amara rises, her movements deliberate and calm. She steps outside the boardroom, greeted by the warm light of the afternoon sun. Protesters' chants swell, but she walks through them with quiet dignity, a symbol of resilience and hope. The station feels different now, lighter, more open. The marble floors gleam, reflecting faces once overlooked, now seen. The air carries a promise, fragile but real, of a future rewritten by courage and justice. As Amara pauses at the entrance, she looks back once, her gaze steady. The weight of history is present, but so is the strength to carry it forward. The scene fades on her calm silhouette, a quiet beacon in a world ready to change. Amara steps out into the plaza, sunlight catching the gold insignia above the station doors. The crowd outside erupts in applause, their cheers echoing down the busy street. She nods in acknowledgement, her calm presence commanding respect without a word. Reporters call her name, but she keeps moving, focused on what comes next. A black conductor adjusts her hat with pride, greeting Amara with a quiet, "Thank you." Across the platform, a Latina staff member helps an elderly passenger with his luggage, her smile genuine. The atmosphere is transformed, diverse faces working together, passengers exchanging nods and greetings that would have been unthinkable before. Inside, the station's marble floors shine brighter, reflecting the energy of a place remade. Posters announcing new policies line the walls. Every passenger welcome. Dignity for all. A group of schoolchildren tours the station, their teacher pointing out the portraits of leaders who shaped the railroad's future. Amara's photo is already being mounted, a symbol of change. In the ticket hall, a young man hesitates at the counter. The clerk meets his eyes, offering a reassuring smile. "How can I help?" The exchange is brief, but the impact is lasting, a small gesture in a sea of progress. Trains depart on time, but the routine feels different. Conductors greet passengers by name. Staff walk the platforms with a new sense of purpose. Amara watches from the balcony, her heart full but steady. She sees the ripple of her actions spreading through every corner of the station, touching lives she'll never know. As the sun sets, the station glows with possibility. The old barriers have fallen, replaced by a culture of respect and inclusion. Amara lingers for a moment, then turns away, confident that the future she fought for is finally on track. Gerald sits alone in a corner booth, a mug of coffee cooling untouched in front of him. The television above the counter plays news clips of Amara's reforms, her name scrolling across the screen. He keeps his gaze down, stirring the coffee out of habit, the spoon clinking against the cup in the quiet. A pair of former co-workers enter, laughter fading as they spot him. They choose a table on the far side of the diner, their conversation hushed. Gerald hears his name, a quick mention before they turn their backs. The waitress stops by his table, her smile polite but distant. "Need anything else?" He shakes his head, voice barely above a whisper. "No, thank you." She leaves quickly, not meeting his eyes. Gerald's phone vibrates with a new message. He glances at the screen. A notice about his pension under review. He exhales sharply, folding the letter and tucking it into his pocket. The weight of the paper feels heavier than it should. He looks out the window, watching cars pass, the world moving on without him. The news segment changes, showing footage of the boardroom vote. The reporter's voice is clear. "A new era for the railroad." Gerald's jaw tightens. He remembers the authority he once carried, now replaced by a quiet, inescapable absence. The laughter from the other table grows louder, deliberate, as if to underline his solitude. He sits back, shoulders hunched, the coffee now cold. The waitress passes by again, refilling cups at other tables but skipping his. Gerald glances around, realizing how small his world has become. The isolation is complete, not just from the job he lost, but from the community that once greeted him by name. He pushes the mug away, staring at the swirl of cream left behind. Gerald is alone, the consequences of his actions settling around him like the chill in the air. Gerald walks down the quiet street, his steps slow and heavy. Neighbors cross to the other side, their eyes avoiding contact. A child tugs at her mother's hand, whispering something that makes the woman glance nervously at Gerald. The weight of judgment presses down, invisible but suffocating. The mailbox holds a letter, its envelope thick and official. Gerald tears it open with trembling hands, revealing notices of legal fees and pension reviews. He crumples the paper, the sound sharp in the stillness. The weight of the letter feels heavier than the paper it's printed on. A group of teenagers pass by, their laughter cutting through the silence. They glance back, smirks fading as they see Gerald's downcast face. A woman with a stroller quickens her pace, pulling her child closer. The community's quiet rejection is palpable, a wall Gerald cannot breach. He stops at a corner, breathing heavily the city's hum, distant and cold. His reflection in a shop window shows a man diminished, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. The streetlights flicker, casting long shadows that stretch and swallow him. He touches the glass as if trying to reach the man he used to be. Inside a nearby cafe, patrons glance out, their conversations lowering as Gerald passes. A barista pauses mid-pour, her hands steady but her eyes wary. A couple at a corner table exchange a glance, their smiles fading. The world he once knew has shifted, leaving him isolated in its wake. Gerald's footsteps echo softly as he continues, each step a reminder of the consequences he can't escape. The city moves on, indifferent to the man walking alone, marked by the weight of his actions and the community's silent verdict. The night air is cool, carrying whispers of change that Gerald can no longer ignore. He wonders, quietly, if redemption is possible, or if some stains never fade. The streetlights flicker again, shadows dancing like ghosts of the past. Gerald's breath catches, the silence around him thick with unspoken truths. The city's pulse beats on, indifferent to his solitude. Gerald's steps slow, each one heavier than the last. Gerald sits at his kitchen table, phone glowing in the dim light. Each notification is a fresh sting. Comments, headlines, messages from people he once called friends. He scrolls through angry words, accusations, and old colleagues unfollowing him one by one. His thumb hovers over the screen, hesitating before he opens his social media settings. He deletes his accounts one after another. The confirmation pop-ups feel final, each tap erasing a piece of the world he used to know. Photos vanish, memories wiped clean, connections severed. The phone grows quiet, the screen a blank reflection of his new reality. Gerald sets it down, the silence in the room pressing in. Outside, dusk settles over the neighborhood. The glow, from other windows, seems warmer, filled with laughter and conversation he can no longer join. Gerald stands and paces the room, the emptiness growing with every step. He glances at the family photos on the wall, faces smiling back from a different time. The house feels larger, colder. Every creak and shadow a reminder of what he's lost. He sits by the window, watching as streetlights flicker on. A neighbor walks by, glancing up but not waving. Gerald looks away, heart pounding. He remembers the days when his phone buzzed with invitations, when his name meant something. Now, there is only quiet, the world moving on without him. He returns to the kitchen, pouring a glass of water with hands that tremble. The phone sits on the table, dark and silent. Gerald stares at it, waiting for a message that will never come. The stillness is complete, the exile self-imposed but inescapable. Night deepens, the house settling around him. Gerald closes his eyes, the weight of isolation pressing down. The silence is total, broken only by the distant hum of a world that no longer calls his name. Amara steps onto the platform, the morning air crisp and full of promise. The train arrives, doors sliding open with a gentle chime. A black conductor greets her with a nod and a quiet, "Good morning, Miss Ellison." Amara smiles, feeling the shift in the air, respect where there was once suspicion. She boards, finding a seat by the window. Around her, the train is alive with conversation. Passengers of every background share seats, laughter rising above the steady rhythm of the tracks. A white mother thanks a Latina staff member for helping with her stroller, gratitude genuine in her voice. The staffer grins, waving off the thanks as she moves down the aisle. Tariq sits across from Amara, his phone in hand. He films discreetly, capturing the ease that fills the carriage. "It's different now," he says softly, turning the camera to her. Amara nods, her eyes bright. "It's what we worked for." A young man in a suit offers his seat to an elderly woman who accepts with a grateful nod. The conductor checks tickets, pausing to chat with a group of school children, her tone warm and encouraging. The atmosphere is open, welcoming, a far cry from the tension that once ruled these rides. Amara glances out the window, watching the city pass by. She sees her father's legacy reflected in every small act of kindness, every barrier quietly dismantled. The train glides smoothly along the tracks, each stop a new beginning for someone on board. As the journey continues, Amara leans back, letting the gentle sway of the train settle her thoughts. Tariq lowers his phone, meeting her gaze. "You changed. Everything," he whispers. Amara smiles, humility and pride mingling in her eyes. The train moves forward, carrying hope and possibility with every mile. The transformation is real, felt in the laughter, the shared glances, the simple dignity of the ride. Amara knows the work isn't finished, but today, the journey feels right. A press conference gathers in the station's main hall, sunlight streaming through tall windows. Amara stands to the side, watching as the railroad's new leadership steps up to the podium. The first to speak is a queer black woman, her voice steady as she introduces herself as the new diversity officer. "This railroad belongs to all of us," she declares, her words resonating through the crowd. Next, a Honduran operations head takes the microphone, sharing his story of arriving in the country as a child and dreaming of a place where everyone is welcome. "Today, we build that place together," he says, his accent warm and proud. Applause ripples through the audience, genuine and sustained. In the crowd, Mr. Thompson stands near the back, his hat in his hands. He wipes his eyes, whispering, "Your dad would have loved this," to no one in particular. Staff members exchange glances, some smiling, others blinking back tears. The mood is hopeful, the promise of change no longer just words on paper. A Latina station manager steps forward, outlining new training programs and hiring initiatives. Her confidence is infectious, her plans clear and actionable. "We're not just changing faces, "We're changing the way we serve," she says, earning another round of applause. Amara catches Tariq's eye, both sharing a quiet moment of satisfaction. The podium, once a symbol of exclusion, now stands for inclusion and progress. Reporters jot down notes, cameras flash, and the live stream chat fills with messages of support. As the press conference ends, the new team gathers for a group photo, their diversity plain for all to see. Amara steps forward, joining them, her presence a bridge between past and future. The sense of hope is tangible, the energy in the room transformed. The station feels lighter, the future brighter. For the first time, everyone belongs. A new suggestion box gleams near the ticket counter, its surface polished and inviting. Above it, a sign reads, "Your voice matters." Passengers pause, reading the words, some skeptical, others hopeful. Throughout the day, slips of paper begin to appear, some with careful handwriting, others scrawled in haste. A young woman drops in a note, "Thank you for seeing us." An older man writes, "First time I've felt safe here in years." A mother scribbles, "My daughter was welcome today." The box fills steadily, the weight of silent stories finally finding a place to land. Maria, the janitor, passes by, on her rounds. She smiles, slipping in a blank card, her way of saying there are no complaints left to file. Staff members glance at the box, exchanging nods and quiet smiles. The atmosphere has shifted. People feel heard, no longer invisible. A conductor checks the box at the end of each shift, reading the notes aloud in the staff room. "We're making a difference," she says, her voice catching. The team listens, some misty-eyed, others grinning with pride. The feedback becomes a ritual, a reminder that every small action matters. Amara walks by, pausing to read the sign. She watches as a young boy, barely tall enough to reach, drops in his own note. Their eyes meet, and he grins, proud to be part of something bigger. The box, once just a metal container, now overflows with hope, gratitude, and the promise of accountability. The station feels transformed, the air lighter, the walls echoing, with stories that were once only whispers. The feedback box stands as a quiet revolution, proof that when people are finally heard, real change takes root. Amara stands at the edge of the platform, sunlight catching the edges of her blazer as the crowd gathers. The station is hushed, all eyes on her. She takes a breath, steadying herself, then steps to the microphone. Her voice is calm, each word measured and clear. "We stand here today because people spoke up, because you refused to be silent, even when it was hard." Her gaze sweeps the crowd. Commuters, staff, children perched on benches. Change doesn't need to roar to be real. Sometimes it arrives quietly in the choices we make every day. A ripple of nods moves through the audience. The new diversity officer stands with arms folded, pride shining in her eyes. The Honduran operations head gives a small, encouraging thumbs up. Tariq films from the side, capturing every word, his hands steady. Amara continues, "We're not finished. There's more work ahead. But today we ride together, we build together, and we promise each other dignity, no matter what." Her voice doesn't rise, but the conviction in it is unmistakable. A journalist's pen stills. The quote, "too honest to change." A young girl in the front row squeezes her mother's hand, eyes wide with hope. The feedback box nearby overflows, a silent chorus of gratitude. Amara steps back, letting the moment settle. The crowd breaks into applause. No cheers, just a steady, heartfelt clapping that fills the space. The trains rumble in the distance, the sound a gentle affirmation of her words. As the applause fades, Amara catches her reflection in the station's glass. Calm, resolute, changed. The platform feels different now, charged with possibility. The tracks stretch out before her, carrying the promise of a future shaped by courage and quiet thunder. A young black boy stands at the ticket counter, clutching a crisp bill in his hand. The clerk leans down, smiling warmly, and asks, "Where? To today?" The boy beams, his voice shy but proud. I want to ride all the way to the end. The clerk prints the ticket, sliding it across with a wink. That's a good journey. Enjoy it. He turns, waving the ticket in the air. His mother kneels to straighten his collar, her eyes bright with quiet joy. You're ready, she whispers, pressing the ticket into his palm. The boy runs toward the platform, shoes tapping out a hopeful rhythm. A conductor kneels to greet him, her voice gentle. Welcome aboard. You know, this train is for everyone. The boy grins, nodding as he climbs the steps. He chooses a window seat, pressing his face to the glass, watching the world blur past. Amara stands nearby, watching the scene unfold. Her heart swells as she sees the boy's excitement, the freedom in his laughter. She catches her reflection in the window, her father's portrait faintly visible behind her, a silent witness to the moment. Tariq films from a distance, capturing the boy's joy, the mother's pride, the conductor's kindness. The train pulls away, sunlight streaming through the windows. The boy waves, his ticket held high, unburdened by fear or hesitation. Around him, passengers of every background share smiles and stories, the barriers of the past replaced by genuine connection. As the train disappears down the track, Amara lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. The future feels lighter, the possibilities endless. The platform buzzes with new energy, the promise of a world where every child can ride without worry. The journey continues, hope carried, forward on every rail.